Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel released a brand new Ironheart trailer at D23, so we'll break it all down. I know you're wondering, did Marvel forget about this series? Because they sure finished filming it a long time ago and have said nothing about it until D23 recently. There are a lot of reports about why that happened. It sounds like they shelved it because they wanted it closer to what the Armor Wars movie was going to be, because it's meant to be connected to that with what's happening with the Rhodey character, the real version of Rhodey, not the fake Skrull Rhodey from Secret Invasion. And generally, this was born out of the time where Marvel was just making series for every single possible person that was ever in the comics, even for like a single issue. So when Marvel made their big shift behind the scenes to pull back and focus more on quality over quantity, this was one of the things that hit the shelf. It sounds like they just wanted to take a couple years, because it has been done for a couple years now, to just polish it until it was ready and release it when they felt like it would do the best. It's possible they were kind of worried about how it would perform, because a lot of the stuff that they did release during Marvel Phase 4 just did not pan out, was not popular the way they wanted it to be. Everybody looking at you, Secret Invasion. So we think Marvel potentially was just waiting for like way bigger, more popular movies to sandwich this between, like for instance Avengers 5, Doomsday, or like the Fantastic Four movie, depending on what happens with that, or like even right before Secret Wars. So right now I believe that they're meaning to release this at the end of next year, but that could change. They could wait till after Avengers 5 to release it. Marvel's done that before, like they'll release their weaker stuff between more popular movies, hoping that it'll help bolster it. But just starting at the beginning of this trailer, it's actually a pretty lengthy trailer. They start with a recap of Riri Williams' time during Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, the introduction of her character with Shuri. Basically, this exact scene they just cut and paste at the beginning of the trailer just to remind people who the character is, where she came from. This scene was basically that last montage of her with Shuri building the new version of her suit right before the final battle in Wakanda Forever. We get a little scene of her actually in the battle in the suit. Then they jump to right at the end of the movie, right before Riri Williams takes off and leaves Wakanda, with Shuri basically telling her, there's no way we're going to let you walk off with that vibranium Iron Man suit that you just built. We get a special Ironheart custom Marvel Television logo. Remember, they're branding all the television shows as Marvel Television, the live action shows. The animated shows they're branding as Marvel Animation, which you see like before X-Men 97. I just did the Daredevil Born Again trailer video from D23. It also has its own version of a Marvel Television logo, but because this is Ironheart, it's a technology software-based logo meant to look very Iron Man-esque. Like it's meant to look like her heads-up display. Then I believe this cityscape is actually meant to be Chicago. I could be mistaken, but I think she's meant to be from Chicago in the MCU. Because the rest of the beginning of the trailer is her getting kicked out of MIT because of what happened during the events of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, so she has to leave school and go back home. Confirming that the series does largely take place after the events of Wakanda Forever, I'm sure there'll be flashbacks to show more of her origin story too. This seems like her just sulking back at home after she's been kicked out of school, with a little bit of her arc reactor here, the little energy piece here.
After my internship abroad, stuck.
Notice she talks about her internship abroad. That's basically her time in Wakanda with Shuri. We see her workbench. She talks about being stuck after the events of Wakanda Forever, like mentally. She just didn't know what she was supposed to do next, how she was going to move forward, because she had $0 and it cost billions of dollars for Iron Man to build his new armors. They only briefly touched on it during the Iron Man movies, but essentially Tony Stark so rich that it didn't matter how much his Iron Man armors cost. He just made new armors because he felt like it. He didn't worry about what it cost. But Pepper Potts, who was CEO of Stark Industries, still had to sign all those checks, technically, and they cost billions of dollars for each armor. Then we see what looks like a little bit of a flashback with her walking into an MIT lab. Like you can see the MIT logo here. It says Hangar 17. This just seems like one of the places where she was working while she was at MIT. I don't know who Jim Rath is playing, but it sounds like he's going to be a big character working at MIT, like one of her professors who's pissed off that she just took off and claims to be a genius and is trying to stomp around like she owns the place. Like he's trying to tell her that it doesn't matter if you're one of the many geniuses that come through the doors at MIT. For instance, Tony Stark also went to MIT briefly. So when he says there are many geniuses who come through the doors at MIT, like she's no better than any of the other geniuses, and she is going to get kicked out if she doesn't attend classes for long enough, which it sounds like she didn't. Kind of hard to make it to class and do your exams when you're busy fighting giant wars down in Wakanda against other mutant nations. All she has to do is tell him about all that underwater vibranium that they were fighting over. There's a quick montage of her throughout MIT, all the different places where she worked, the different classes that she went to, the different labs she attended, with him basically repeating himself. Like, you can't just walk out of MIT and then not do anything and then show back up and expect to continue. He also talks about her using their resources to build her Iron Man technology. You see her open the pad, like it sounds like she's designing her next armor, but she's using all of MIT's millions and millions of dollars in resources to do this. Zoom and enhance on her whiteboard here. You see Tony Stark's arc reactor here. It sounds like she's trying to design a slightly new arc reactor and a new basis for her Iron Man technology to iterate on Tony Stark's armor technology. As it says here, iron suit ... artificial intelligence. Fun fact, Riri Williams in the comics actually worked with Tony Stark when he was a digital consciousness, a digital artificial intelligence. They introduced the character during a time at Marvel after Tony Stark was believed to have died, but he backed up his consciousness as an AI, so it was a version of Tony Stark, even though secretly they revealed that his body did survive. It was just in deep storage for a long time. It was part of that all-new, all-different era at Marvel. Eventually, they did bring the Iron Man character back, and they sort of rebooted the comics with a brand new Iron Man title, which they tend to do in the comics very often. A little bit harder for them to do that in the movies. But we do have Robert Downey Jr. coming back as a version of Doctor Doom. She talks to what seems like one of her professors at MIT, saying that she wants to build something special, something undeniable. Like, basically her trying to say that she wants to build something different, iterating on Tony Stark's Iron Man technology. Zoom and enhance, you see one of her previous armors that she's iterating. This is probably based on her armor from Wakanda Forever. Probably her in the middle of designing the new armor that we see her wearing towards the end of the trailer. It sounds like she pisses off Jim Rath enough that she officially gets kicked out, like she destroys this lab at MIT, and that's the last straw for them. Like, all right, that's it, you're out. Notice they very prominently tell you that Ryan Coogler is one of the executive producers of this series, so it should be a little bit more quality. I didn't know what his involvement was going to be before this, but it sounds like he had a hand in actually making it, which explains her presence in the actual Black Panther Wakanda Forever movie. I do not think that she was in the original version of the movie when Chadwick Boseman was still alive, and the plot of the movie was more centered around his character versus Namor. There was like a whole different version of that movie before Chadwick Boseman passed away. I talked about it back when Black Panther Wakanda Forever came out, so you could go back and watch those videos if you want to learn more about that. Then I think this is her going back to Chicago where she's from. You see her walking around in a janky, low-quality version of her armor as she's trying to dumpster dive, build it together again, like the new version of her armor, but like she dumpster dived her original armor that we saw in Wakanda Forever. Same basic idea. She complains about needing money to finish building her suit because she's dead-ass broke. And then we see Anthony Ramos' character, who's playing the Hood from the comics, who is a magic-based character. And it sounds like he starts out trying to help her, like he tells her, I can help you get the money that you need to build your suit. But I don't know if when he starts out, he actually is the Hood character, or if he slowly becomes the Hood character over the course of the season, making bargains with other magic-based characters. You see her back in her apartment with the pieces of her armor hanging near her as she's trying to cobble it together or find funds to actually complete it. Then zoom and enhance. This is kind of potato quality version of the trailer here, but this person helping her unfurl her new version of the armor, like her Mark III, at this facility that seems like it's outside of the city, like they just find a place to work on her armor, is Alden Ehrenreich's Zeke Stane, the son of Obadiah Stane from the first Iron Man movie. I don't know what his relationship with Riri Williams is going to be during the season, if it's going to be a Karate Kid situation. If you didn't see Karate Kid 3, fantastic deep cut, but in that movie, the main villain pretended to help Daniel, but was secretly pulling a fast one on him the whole time. That might be what's going on with Zeke Stane during this series, or there could be a big twist and he winds up being a good character, turning different from his father, like I don't want to be like my father, and winds up being good. Because it does seem like the Hood might wind up being the main villain of the season. But it is possible that Zeke Stane is in league with the Hood secretly, and they're just not telling Riri Williams, so you can let me know what your theories are in the comics, like what is Zeke Stane doing during this series? I don't know who this character is, but it seems like she just tries to take a whole bunch of different jobs to earn money to complete the armor, like she's working for a bunch of different random people. Then these shady people seem like part of the Hood's crew that are robbing places all over town. Riri Williams throws in with them because it gets her money to finish her gear. They might also be working in league with Zeke Stane if he really is one of the villains of the series. Not sure what they're robbing from this facility, probably just some technology. Anthony Ramos' character talks to her about doing things to get it done, like basically implying that they're going to be doing some shady stuff to get the money that she needs. Not clear what facility here she's burning. This might be back at MIT. You see Anthony Ramos's Hood character robbing other safes, and Ironheart talks to him about pulling illegal jobs. Like, these jobs we're doing aren't super illegal, are they? Which it seems like they are pretty illegal. You see her look at her new faceplate. He gives her a buttload of cash to buy more gear to complete her armor. Notice that he's wearing a cloak. I think that's just meant to be a reference to his Hood identity from the comics. Then she completes her armor and activates it. So this is essentially what her version of the Mark III looks like the Ironheart Mark III. The title card does reveal that it's coming out next year, which would be 2025, which is why I say I think it's coming out at the end of next year. She does her first flight in that suit, which is meant to be a parallel for Iron Man in his Mark II, the first flight in that suit. We get a slow-mo montage of her and Anthony Ramos just throwing the money all over the place like she's flush with cash so she can finish her armor. This seems like his crew, so those people that were robbing that lab earlier probably belong to him. There's a quick montage of different scenes of them doing more shady stuff. Then finally the police show up at her apartment like, you seem to be connected with some string of robberies. What's going on here? Then it seems like she's in her armor running from the cops, like this is all after she completes her armor. Then we actually see Anthony Ramos's Hood character in his red cloak from the comics. Not sure what this facility is where he is, where the lights are lighting up. Then this seems like what his character looks like under the cloak, like this is the price that he's paying for the magic that he's given. There's a lot of rumors about this being connected to Mephisto, but basically he has to make a bargain with a more powerful magical being to get his magic. It's only a rumor, but supposedly Sacha Baron Cohen filmed scenes as a version of Mephisto for this series, but this was years ago when they filmed the series, so I don't know if that's changed or they've removed that stuff or switched it so that it's another magical character that he bargains with. There are even some rumors that he might be connected to Agatha Harkness at some point during this series. I don't know if that's going to wind up being true. They could have changed that as well. Either way, part of the parallel here for the Hood and Ironheart is they're both doing shady things to get the power that they want. Like, she's robbing all these different places to get the money to complete her armor, and the Hood is bargaining his life force, basically, to get more magical power. Then it seems like she actually starts fighting some of the other characters that she's been robbing places with. I don't know who this character is that she's talking to in the trailer, where she's saying that she's bitten off more than she could chew. It might just be one of her friends from her hometown. Then we see Alden Ehrenreich's Zeke Stane character. In the comics, Zeke Stane also winds up becoming a villain in his own right, basically taking his father's inheritance, like all the money that he left to him, and going after Iron Man, but he's thought of as more of an Iron Man villain. Then we see Anthony Ramos in his full Hood getup, like with the red cloak and the guns from the comics. Not really sure who he's going after in this scene in the broad daylight. But you can kind of see the magic perverting his body, like sort of rotting his body, like those little lines coming off of his face. Then I don't know when this scene is happening in the course of the series, but it's basically her in the middle of an action scene, suiting up in her armor, taking down this car. Then the trailer has a post-credit scene. It wouldn't be a Marvel trailer if the trailer didn't have its own post-credit scene. And this just seems like it's happening back in Chicago in her family house with her mother coming to check on her, asking what the hell is going on. Then we get a shot of her flying overhead in broad daylight in her brand new armor. Looks like she's given her armor a paint job too, so I'm guessing this is from like the very end of the series. Not clear if her character will have any kind of interaction with the new version of Robert Downey Jr. who's playing Doctor Doom from another universe. Kevin Feige said that not all the brand new characters during Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5 will appear in Avengers 5 and Avengers 6. I think that confirms that a lot of the new characters, especially the younger characters, they'll relegate to like a Young Avengers project. And there's like a darker supernatural team up too. So like not all the supernatural characters like Moon Knight, for instance, will show up in all the next Avengers movies. Just because there are so many characters now, like there's no way they could cram everybody into all the Avengers movies. But I know there's going to be a billion questions about what's going on with the characters, so if there's anything that you spotted in the trailer that I didn't talk about in the video, write them below in the comments. Still a lot of questions about what's going on with Zeke Stane during the series, like how much of a villain will he be at the beginning of the series, and will there be a big turn at the end of the series where he becomes a much bigger villain, or are they going to have a big twist with that as well too, where really the Hood is the main villain of the series? The really crazy twist would be if Zeke Stane, Alden Ehrenreich's character, winds up being good in helping Ironheart, like being a partner to her going forward. So there's always possible they go with that twist. There's a bunch more trailers that Marvel released at D23 that I haven't completely worked through yet, so I'll try to finish all those in the next week. My voice is slowly getting a little bit better. I was sick for like most of last week, so it was kind of hard to get videos out. I just did a brand new video for that Thunderbolts trailer. Click here for that, and click here for my Daredevil Born Again trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.